Have you gotten in trouble? Hey, this guy's telling people to eat more red meat.
I was born in trouble, I think. Born and raised in LA, kicked out of school in a gang, couldn't read, father in jail.
Okay.
Plants are fermentable. That means inside your gut, you're making alcohol, all of us. Heat, gas, methane, aldehydes. So our children that are eating primarily a plant-based diet are making alcohol. We're brainwashed in our modern world. We need to be more inspiring. And this is meant to invite people in and question our thinking. Inflammation is the cause of all disease. Inflammation is the cause of infertility, miscarriage, suicidality, criminality, depression, anxiety. It's all inflammation. Most important thing is building your families. That's the most important thing. If we can help reduce inflammation, we can help so many people conceive and deliver healthy babies without fertility treatment at all.
Dr. Robert Kiltz, welcome to my podcast.
Mikhaila, thank you so much for the invitation. Appreciate it.
I'm very excited to talk about this. Before we get started, why don't you give a brief background about who you are and what it is you do?
I'm a fertility doctor. I own and run CNY fertility centers. We're the most affordable and accessible, and we integrate a lot of Eastern and Western medicine into our practice. I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I tripped over carnivore diet and keto diet and paleo diet years ago, but before that I integrated meditation, prayer, acupuncture, massage into my practice to help people de-stress. It helped. And then some of my patients were getting pregnant on paleo diet. I'm like, what is that? Does diet really matter? I thought, no way. And I personally had problems with arthritis, psoriasis, migraines, kidney stones, bowel bleeding for years, taking all the drugs and getting all the doctor's visits and dissections. And when I started looking at it, I'm like, wow, this is amazing science. And I personally began to do it, and I healed tremendously on a paleo diet. And so I'm a full-time physician, surgeon. I still practice medicine fully, but I've found the health and wellness space in carnivore and mindfulness as really an important, powerful thing to share to help more people have access to knowledge and information that they can heal on simple concepts.
Perfect. I've had so many people over the years tell me switching to carnivore that after not having a period or not being able to get pregnant, they finally got pregnant. I was like, there's definitely something here. So I thought we should delve into it. What brought you, I mean, paleo obviously started. I started on paleo too and healed a whole bunch of my problems.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, what brought you into kind of keto and then carnivore?
Well, I look back at growing up in Los Angeles. I had dyslexia, bad migraines, bowel problems. I was kicked out of school in a gang, couldn't read.
Oh.
And those are things that I look back on after going into the paleo world and then suddenly feeling better and realize, could it have been the salads, the cereals, the vegetables, and the diet of chips and all those sort of things that I ate for years. And so after I was learning some of this from my patients about paleo and started talking about it and doing it, realized that the plants are likely the toxic component that causes most of the diseases we're suffering from. And as I personally did it, going through the paleo and then learning about keto, and then almost 15 years ago, I went carnivore.
Really?
And literally in a month, 2 or 3, I was like, wow, gone, amazing. Depression, anxiety gone, all the things that held me back gone, hemorrhoids gone, kidney stones gone. And so my job in medicine is to help people heal. That's why I went into medicine in the first place. And I'm like, well, isn't it my job to give you information? You may not want to do it. You may not believe me, but it's my job to give you advice that you might get pregnant naturally without me.
Yeah. Amazing. Wow, I didn't realize you started it so long ago. So did you do that just by eliminating foods and figuring it out yourself, or did you hear about it?
Well, the paleo was for my patients. They were taking me a paleo. Then I started reading about it. I did Atkins before that. I was crazy on exercising to be healthy, look great, all those egotistical things that I thought were really important. But then I realized, wow, there's something here that our standard diet the pyramid or my plate, which is fruits and vegetables, seeds and nuts, may be the thing that's harming us more than anything. And so I just started reading and reading. I met Maria Emmerich and learned about keto. And then I saw someone on some video somewhere that was doing carnivore. He was ripped, he didn't exercise, and he felt great. And I'm like, that one's for me. So literally almost 15 years, I'm almost 70, and I can tell you, I've never felt better in my life on this. And this is the thing we all need to be talking about. And the beauty of social media is that you don't need a degree to learn about your health and wellness, and you can take it on and take the responsibility yourself.
If you guys aren't on Peterson Academy, you're missing out. There are over 25 8-hour courses on there from people like Vervaeke, Michael Malice, Keith Campbell. My dad has 3 8-hour courses out now, including Nietzsche, Sermon on the Mount, and Intro to Personality, which is excellent. Brian Keating's on there. David Eagleman on brain plasticity just came out, which I love. Go to petersonacademy.com and come in and see what it's like. We have a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can poke around the website, look at the courses, and get a refund if you want, no strings attached. Any age is welcome. The courses are university level. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of the podcast. Do you see any reason for concern for the carnivore diet in pregnancy? Like, are people missing nutrients? Do you suggest people supplement with folate or vitamins or monitor vitamins?
The FDA has a disclaimer on all supplements that there's no evidence that they're beneficial.
What? I get that. I didn't know that.
Well, the science, I think sometimes a little snake oil because we're selling a product. But I figure for the first 3.5 million years, we probably wouldn't looking for a supplement. And 99.9% of other organisms aren't saying, where's my supplement? And I personally don't supplement, although I sell supplements. I pretty much stick with animal-based products, and it's usually steak and fatty meat, as rare or raw as possible. I throw in some livers from time to time or organ meats, but I don't think that's critical. The majority of the plants contain the toxins that cause our damage and disease, but the animal products have no toxins. And so do you need the supplements or the folic acid? I don't know that I can tell you absolutely not, but it doesn't make sense to me that we would need that since we evolved without supplements. We evolved eating a species-specific diet, which was primarily animal-based. I look back and imagine we came out of the trees to eat the grass eaters and not the grass. We're hunters, wolves and lions. But what we're really good at is tool making and working as a team in a pack. And that's who we are more than anything. So, do you need the supplements? I say not.
Interesting. Okay. We were just talking before we started the podcast. I said, I love children. I love babies. I hate being pregnant. I don't like the fatigue. Actually, the first time I was pregnant, I wasn't on the carnivore diet. I was on, it was a keto diet, actually. I was basically surviving off of chicken wings and greens. It was like on my segue into the carnivore diet before I knew the carnivore diet existed. And I was in rough shape. This was when I was healing from the autoimmunity. I was getting off psychiatric medication. I was off of it at that point, but I felt terrible. I was depressed, was itchy. My arthritis came back. It was not good. Second pregnancy, I was just eating meat and I had a meat aversion. And I was like, this is never going to happen to me. I've been only eating meat. It's been 7 years now of only eating meat. I'm not going to get a meat aversion. Do you see meat aversions in pregnancy commonly? I didn't have a meat aversion with my first.
Yes.
And what do you do for that?
Well, there's a lot of psychological component to all of this because we're brainwashed with certain information that might be subconscious. Meat is bad for you. And now you have a baby in you and thinking, well, I was doing it for myself, but maybe I have to be careful for my baby. So that may be a subconscious.
I definitely didn't have that.
Well, but again, There's the conscious part of what I think I know, and that this all that marketing stuff that's been fed into our brains for so long that meat's not good for you. That might be part of it. But I also believe that early in pregnancy, food aversion is natural.
Yeah.
Because the food you put in your body may be harmful for your baby. So hyperemesis or nausea and vomiting early in pregnancy, it says, don't put that food in this body, because what is the food and the fuel for your baby? It's actually your fat. We are meant to get fat, especially women, and then gestate, potentially hibernate, or at least nest. So we do not use, sugar is not the fuel for your body at all. Mm-hmm. It's a glycosylating agent. But the way we eat plants, sugars, which all come from plants, they're glycating agents. They cause oxidative damage, which is the main cause of reproductive dysfunction. Think about polycystic ovarian syndrome. I call it plant-caused ovarian sickness. And it's really an easy concept because diabetes and metabolic syndrome and prediabetes are rampant. And PCOS is so common. Infertility is 1 in 5.
Oof.
Both a female and a male cause, by the way. It's both.
I didn't realize that was 1 in 5. So that's like similar to autoimmunity almost, and psychiatric illnesses.
All of the diseases are on the rise. I don't believe there's such a thing as autoimmune diseases. They're immunologic reactions to foreign antigens or chemicals or plant sugars, which are antigenic. That means you react with redness, swelling, pain, dysfunction, or failure of a cell, organ, or organism. So infertility is on the rise. We know that. Male dysfunction, female dysfunction, implantation dysfunction. And is it simply that the plants don't want you to reproduce? They actually have created this system that you want to eat them, consume them, so they can reduce your fertility. Maybe. But the birth control pill and the abortion pill were first developed through plants, medicinal purposes. They came from plants. And so we use these devices today in a pharmaceutically created drug, but initially it was all from plants. And so the aversion is normal and natural in order to protect your baby from the poisons of plants. Mm-hmm. And getting fat for pregnancy is natural and normal. But the problem is that we have over access and consumption of a plant-based diet, which is our biggest problem. We're poisoned by plants.
How do you feel about plants like blueberries, lettuce? Like, I'm not talking about processed foods or grains. I had a terrible reaction to dairy too, actually, for my arthritis and the psychiatric issues. But how do you feel about these kind of like lower toxin plants? Berries, certain fruit, let's say lettuces, stuff like that. Do you think that's just a net negative for people, or do you think a healthy person can incorporate that in without noticing any
Well,
impact?
I call salad and lettuce nature's toilet paper.
I like lettuce.
You can never clean it enough.
Yeah.
You can't wash it off, unfortunately.
Oh, I do know that.
You can't. I mean, the number one recalled food in the world is usually a plant-based. It's usually vegetables, and fruits are recalled due to contamination through the microbes, which are everywhere. But I think that, yes, you can consume small amounts of plants from time to time. But if you're doing it all the time, that's not good. Mm-hmm. And if you happen to have an anaphylactic reaction to it, you may be dead. Mm-hmm. And so I know my daughter is highly allergic to bananas and avocados.
Wow.
Okay, well, avocados are so good for you. Mm-hmm. That's a marketing ploy in order to get you and I buying it, and it's not good for us, in my opinion. It might be the thing that shows up as infertility or miscarriage, which is simply an immunologic reaction inside your body, not on the outside of your body. Because we think of allergies as swelling, redness, arthritis and things like that, but not realizing that all those same things are happening inside your body. And that's as simple as all it is.
Yeah. Well, I do completely agree with that. I mean, my life completely changed with removing plants from my diet. I had to remove everything and be strict too. Like everything needs to be gone. It was just, I'm just eating ruminant meat. I barely do. I can do like really, really healthy, like hippie chickens that haven't eaten corn and soy. I can do a little bit of that, but it doesn't make me feel very good. Like I would say, 99.99% of my diet is just red meat. And I'm fine. And I don't supplement and I don't eat organs either. I've always had a to liver and it hasn't impacted me. It's been 7 years.
Yeah, I don't eat a lot of liver and I don't think you need it.
I think if you like it, maybe your body needs it. But if you don't like it, then.
I love goose liver and duck liver.
Well, chicken liver is a lot better, but then I don't eat chicken. And veal liver's not bad. Cow liver, though? Ugh.
Well, can you imagine us hunting chickens 50,000 years ago?
I can imagine myself hunting a chicken.
But I mean, no one hunted chickens.
Yeah.
We hunted the big beasts.
Not big enough.
I mean, chickens either aren't big enough, but they don't have much fat. And so we need to eat fat. Mm-hmm. Eating fat is the healthiest thing you can do because in adipose tissue is every mineral, vitamin, amino acid, simple sugar, and fatty acid your body requires. Bears hibernate for 6 months and they gestate 1 to 4 baby bears. They lose no muscle mass, no bone mass. They lose only one thing, adipose tissue. So I think we've got it all wrong thinking that fat is bad for us. It's actually the healthiest thing you could eat. And obesity doesn't cause disease. What you ate causes the disease you suffer from. That's really the simple story in all of this.
Okay, interesting. I guessed, obviously, I guessed that when I originally went on the lion diet, I lost a bunch of weight right away, which was great because I just had a baby and was like fantastic. It wasn't a lot of weight. It was like 15 pounds that was bothering me. And that was coming from like a keto chicken and lettuce diet. And I lost that right away and I was like, fantastic. But what's funny is I was breastfeeding. Over the next 8 months, I gained weight again. But when I gained it and then eventually lost that, I didn't get the same type of reaction to losing weight as I did the first time. So I was thinking, like the first time I lost weight, I had body odor. I kind of felt like I was detoxing. And like no tests for this or anything, but like I had a taste in my mouth and things and I was losing weight and was like, this doesn't feel very good. And then about a year later, when I gained some weight, just eating meat, because I was eating like 3 pounds of meat a day. So you can gain weight.
Sure.
Like eating copious amounts of meat. I was breastfeeding. When I lost that weight, I didn't have the same weird taste in my mouth. And I was like, I wonder if the fat that I made when I was just eating meat was a healthier fat.
Well, your body makes only healthy things for your body. Your body doesn't make anything unhealthy, technically. The liver's job is to convert amino acids and simple sugars via insulin to fat. So as you make fat and getting fat, that's healthy for you.
What if your diet has been primarily fat that doesn't come from like red meat?
Well, fat comes from an animal. Oils come from plants. Mm-hmm. Whether it's ruminant meat or chicken fat or duck fat, fish fat, I don't think those are our culprits in our diseases.
Yeah.
I think really it's plant products are the main culprit of our diseases. Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe this, right? But, could cholesterol be bad for you? Your body makes it. Mm-hmm. Could visceral fat be bad for you? How is it that any fat your body makes is bad for you? Does it make any sense? Why would your body make this fat bad and this fat good? Makes no sense. Fat is the fuel and the building block for your body, and it's the fuel and building blocks for your baby, and it provides all the repair tissue for your body. what causes ill health is a plant protein-based diet. Plants and proteins are fermentable. That means inside your gut, you're making alcohol, all of us. Heat, gas, methane, aldehydes, which circulate throughout your body. So our children that are eating primarily a plant protein-based diet are making alcohol because the microbes are everywhere. And the microbiome that everyone says is really good for you, maybe it's there, but maybe it's not so good for you because it's fermenting. And if you've read anything from James Henry Salisbury, the Salisbury steak guy, Dr. Salisbury, he graduated Albany Med in 1850s. He went on to the Civil War. His men were dying of dysentery and pneumonia. He figured out the microbes were flourishing on a plant-based diet. He switched them to a meat-based diet, and they healed.
Wow. I haven't heard this. That's funny.
So now for women, vaginitis, vaginosis, cervicitis, cervical cancers, endometritis, endometriosis, which all lead to reproductive dysfunction, the fermentation of the microbes in the gut goes out the rectum and the anus and goes right up into the vagina.
Oh my gosh, that's horrifying.
It's the nature of all things, but we're eating a much higher plant-based diet than ever before, and we're eating too many meals a day. And the most important thing we're missing is fat. We're not eating it. You might cook with it, but you're not eating it. And so by simply eating fat, raw butter, I do cream, but I'm not a big milk fan in general. I don't think it's good for us. Mother's breast milk is good, but beyond that, it's fatty meat is what we should really eat to be the healthiest. But the fat, have you ever noticed that butter never molds?
Yeah.
Lasts forever. Fat kills the microbes in the gut, which are actually harmful for us. Everyone says your microbiome is so important. It's the glycobiome that's the most important thing for you, which is actually the sugar layer on every cell of your body, which protects the epithelial layer. It's like the soil and the plants. And I notice the gardening going on out here. Without the plants in the soil, there would be immense erosion of the soil, correct? The same thing is happening to your skin inside and out as we damage the sugar layer, and it erodes. And that's happening in our gut, which causes leaky gut, which causes things to get in or out that we want not to be in or out. And these lectins, oxalates, phytates, or other antigens, including the microbes, now get into your bloodstream, and they cause the diseases we've all been suffering from since the dawn of time.
So what do you recommend, just real quick, for somebody who's suffering from infertility and is going to go the diet route to get healthy? What do you recommend, like as an average day of meals? What should they be eating?
Well,
and how often?
I personally think one meal a day or less is likely what we evolved eating. I think 3 to 6 meals a day makes no sense. And that's kind of what the average or recommendations are. But I call it the baby's diet. Bacon, eggs, butter, beef. You can have my ice cream, Kiltz's ice cream from time to time, and salt. And so it's bacon. And it could be beef bacon, lamb bacon, goat bacon. I don't care, but there's no such thing as turkey bacon because turkey bacon is all fake. It doesn't have any fat.
Yeah.
But that's generally my recommendation. I've seen so many women and men improve their sperm, their eggs, their embryos, even low AMHs under 1 definitely can improve their reproductive function by going on the baby's diet. And you can just do a lion's diet, which is radically great too. And again, these ideas sound wrong, but is what you're doing working? It's not. So why wouldn't you look at something completely opposite? I mean, I do shots, pills, surgeries to help people have babies all day long. I will do whatever you want and need. My job is to give you ideas, to give you the power to make the changes. And usually I ask my clients, what would you do to have a baby? And the answer is usually
Anything.
anything. Would you change your diet, even if it's for 30 days and see what happens? Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so our job, the part of the problem is the American College of OBGYN recommends a plant-based, low animal fat diet, little to no red wine. They recommend plant-based, little to no red meat, and they recommend red wine for pregnant and lactating women.
That's in the recommendations?
That's in the recommendations.
How did that get in?
Gee.
Somebody lactating made that.
Well, like anything else, I rub your back, you rub my back.
Yeah.
We're going to give you some money to help you and promote health and wellness through a plant-based diet. What can you do for us? And unfortunately, we know that science and medicine has been usurped by money and profits over mommies and parents. And that's the sad part that I've learned in this business. But I'm not on a mission to try to chastise anyone else. My job is to give you the knowledge and the power to change your life because, in fact, you're responsible for it. And if you spend a lot of time blaming others, it doesn't work, in my opinion. You want to say, you know what? I've learned from what has happened. Mm-hmm. My job is to change what I do for me and my family and what I can teach everyone else out there.
Precisely. How do you feel about the new administration and this whole Make America Healthy Again movement? Do you think it's going to go anywhere? Do you think they're focused on the right things?
You're responsible for what happens in your life, no one else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good to see change. We need motivation and inspiration. And I think we're seeing that. And change is critical in life. Healthcare's costs are on the rise. Bankruptcy from healthcare costs is on the rise. And our health and wellness is not improving. We're going downhill. And look, keto's easy. Everyone could be keto. You might do fine on keto. But keto's made up. It's not true. You're either an herbivore, a carnivore, or an omnivore. Those are the three diets. We can be omnivores, but carnivore is the greatest thing I've ever learned. It's what I live. Okay, I will have a cookie, cake, or ice cream from time to time. I'm great at minimization. Mm-hmm. I rarely drink a martini. I kind of stay away from any of the other drugs. The government, unfortunately, is supporting marijuana, tobacco, and alcohol. Are those good for us? They're deadly. Mm-hmm. I don't recommend any of them for us. But they're there. Let's each of us take on the responsibility of taking care of ourselves, feeding our families, and teaching our children properly. And being a lion is a little more powerful than being a lamb, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It does sound crazy, but I don't know. It seems to work. So, and it's worth a shot, especially if you're suffering from a chronic disease or something as terrible as infertility is try it because what you're doing isn't working.
Well, I got a beautiful young lady, a Lyft driver, bringing me here. She's in her early 40s and she's already had gastric bypass surgery. Didn't work. She's already had a stroke. Okay. And what do we keep on saying? Well, it's just another drug or another dissection or another doctor, and you're not eating enough fruits and vegetables. And we in modern medicine believe that story. But there is another story that in actuality, what we're telling people is wrong. Mm-hmm. And I want to inspire my brothers and sisters in medicine to give it a do. You got to try it yourself. And the young lady didn't know my full name because they don't get your full name on your Lyft order anymore. And I said, listen, look up drkiltz.com, but there's so many people out there that are sharing this concept and idea, and you being overweight is the cause of no disease. Because medicine is very negatively judgmental against obesity, and I think that's wrong. Because being told that you're unhealthy and obese all the time and everything you do fails, how does that make you feel? Depressed. And what do you want to do when you're depressed? Eat foods that make you feel good, which all are plant-based, because plants contain small amounts of opium, heroin, cocaine, marijuana, nicotine, caffeine, which all are good for you. They're deadly. And so I think we need to treat people with love and kindness, inspire them. What can I do to get you what you want? And to me, it's these concepts of the lion's way, because lions are not the masses. They're the small in number, but they have strength. And I want to invite everyone. They have the ability themselves to make the change. But you must listen to the stories, because we're all storytellers. We've been listening to the propaganda of the story that basically we should eat the fruits and vegetables, which has put us in this predicament. And red meat causes so many diseases.
Yeah.
Anyone ever had an anaphylactic reaction to ribeye steak?
No.
Never.
No.
But it is interesting when some people start carnivore, they have stomach upset or they feel miserable.
I was one of those. Well, I didn't feel miserable. I started feeling better pretty quick, but it was rough going from keto to just eating red meat. It hurt for 6 weeks were rough, but that was cravings, digestive problems. I was very sick though. And it went away. But yeah, I had a miserable time weaning in. I know people who start and they're on day 3 and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel amazing. There are people like that, but I was one of those people that was every day I was oh, I hope this works because this sucks. For about 6 weeks. And then at the 6-week point, I was you know what? I'm not crying in the morning anymore. Things are slowly looking up, but it was difficult. It's not difficult at all anymore.
Those things in life that are the most valuable are the hardest to obtain. And these are the training grounds. If someone says it's easy, you walk away. You want hard in life. You want struggles. You must look back at all of your stress and struggles and hardships and trauma as God's gift to make you stronger and better in life. And lions are the leaders and sheep are the followers. We want to inspire and invite all of our sheep friends and family members to come to the lion's way. And it's a game changer. But it starts with faith in God, in my opinion. And God is within all of us. I don't care what your religion is. If you have faith and love and kindness to the person suffering, you can bring them and help them. That's what our job really is. And I think modern science and medicine can do it. We can be better, but I'm not waiting for anyone else to do that. My job in life is to share these ideas and help inspire each and every one of us to be the change ourselves.
Have you gotten in trouble? Has anyone, I don't know, gone to some board and said, hey, this guy's telling people to eat more red meat,
I was born in trouble, I think. I was born and raised in L.A., kicked out of school in a gang, couldn't read, father in jail.
Okay.
That was my background. But yes, I have been reported to the New York State licensure board by a patient who commented that I was teaching and sharing this idea about a carnivore diet.
Yeah.
But it inspires me. And then when I went to the board and they said, Dr. Kiltz, I'm really sorry. We just got to talk to you about this. And we know you're doing great things, but thank you very much.
Oh, okay.
They're very nice about it.
That's super promising.
They were very supportive and nice about it because they realize that people bring a lot of things. And, and our job in life as doctors, as medical professionals, by the way, I think nurse practitioners and doctors should be on an equal level in the way of practicing medicine and helping people heal. And we're going to see so many more nurse practitioners coming up and helping people in a way that we've never seen before. There are not enough people out there that are practicing medicine. We need more people, but we need more people sharing health and wellness through ideas that are not standard medicine. That's so important.
I know, I completely agree. So when someone comes in and says they're having, actually no, before we get to that, you said you have an affordable medical center. So if you're doing IVF treatments and you're doing kind of the standard, IVF treatment and things, how do you make it more affordable than normal?
I'm kind of dumb. When I started my fertility practice 25, 30 years ago, I got paid $2,000 to deliver a baby at 2 a.m. after 9 months of care. I started doing IVF at the same time. I said, well, why would I get paid more money than what I do for 9 months and delivery at 2 a.m? Suffering from not having building a family and children is growing, and it's so common. And ultimately, the foundation of life is not podcasting or not being a doctor, but building your family. That is the most important thing. And when it's not happening naturally, it's horrible. And CNY Fertility, I started, and my whole intention in life is to help more people. And so we keep going on the mission as much as we can. I'm the 4th largest IVF center in America and the only one that's privately held by myself. No venture capital money.
Wow.
I'm not chastising the venture capital money or anything. I think that has a lot of real value in our world, even in medicine and fertility. But the mission I'm on is to continue to keep it affordable even when I'm gone. And however I can do that, I'm going to keep doing it.
Hey guys, if you haven't tried my hangover supplement, After Party, give it a shot before New Year's. It has a 30-day money-back guarantee through fullerhealth.com, and it's also on Amazon if you type in After Party. You can get a refund if you buy through Amazon as well, but you have to email us directly through the website. Amazon won't refund you. So there's no risk to you trying this. Then you'll have a few drinks, you'll try this incredible compound and be like, Mikhaila was right. She's not a grifter like everyone says. So buy it now before New Year's. fullerhealth.com or After Party on Amazon. I'll link everything in the description as well. It reduces hangovers, shakiness. It gives you a calm feeling if your sleep has been impacted. It's really useful. I never drink without it. It breaks down acetaldehyde, which is what alcohol breaks down into, and that's what poisons your body and your brain when you drink. So biohack your hangovers. It's silly not to. They literally sell this in drinks in Japan. People are so used to it there, and it just hasn't made its way to America. It's amazing. After Party on Amazon or fullerhealth.com, link in the description. Merry Christmas, everybody. How do you feel about they're like some people, especially I've seen with like religious background or Christian background, they're like, IVF is not natural, therefore it's not good.
Driving a car is not natural either, but I think God created that also, as he created fertility care. But there are ways to help people because of their religious beliefs. In many cases, we might freeze eggs and sperm, and we might only make one embryo at a time. And this egg, sperm, and embryos are not mine. They belong to the couples they came from. And so you're the one that determines it. Obviously, with a lot of law changes in America, and people are concerned about that. But I think the most important thing is focus on making babies and building your family, and the rest will fall into place. You know, we're not interested in throwing away your embryos, but if you want to minimize the number of embryos you make, we can help you with that.
I haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
That's smart.
And even for some people that don't want to do IVF, they can do intrauterine inseminations or IUI. There are some surgical procedures that can be done. I talk a lot about inflammation. Inflammation is the cause of all disease. Inflammation is the cause of infertility, miscarriage. Inflammation is the cause of suicidality, criminality, depression, anxiety. It's all inflammation. Inflammation is caused by 5 primary things: plant sugars, plant antigens, plant chemicals, the fermentation of the plants in the gut, and excessive exercise.
Causing inflammation.
Causes inflammation. And so if we can help reduce inflammation, we can help so many people conceive and deliver healthy babies without fertility treatment at all. And if we can help you with a baby in utero, or you breastfeeding, or you, once you've birthed your children and now you're raising them, understand that a high animal fat diet is actually the best thing you can do, and a high plant-based diet may not be the best thing for you. Now, why some people get sicknesses and diseases from one thing or another, we don't know. We just don't know. Is it your genetic predisposition, environmental factors? I mean, it's complicated.
Yeah.
But I like Occam's razor. The simple answer is the one. We make it too complicated. You know what you need to do for your family. Love, kindness, and tell your husband how wonderful they are every day. Feed him steak and eggs every day. And make love to him every day. And remember, love doesn't have to be sex. Sensuality, connection, kindness, which in our world today of fast pace, you got to succeed at this or that. You already are successful because you're alive. And you and I will die. But before we get there, let's make what we do the best for humanity. That's, to me, the most important thing we can do every day.
Aw, that got me. That was really nice. I needed to hear that today. That's good. We were talking before we started the episode. I said, like, I didn't enjoy, part of the reason I didn't enjoy pregnancy, part of it, like the first one, there were a bunch of factors in that. But then more recently, it was like, I'm in a really loving relationship. I'm really happy I'm pregnant. Like, I'm really excited for the baby. Like, why am I uncomfortable? And I did have a meat aversion. I wasn't vomiting. I didn't have nausea. It was like low level, but it was just kind of like ick. And then that was one thing. But I think I was frustrated. A lot of it was frustration at being tired, because you get pregnant and you kind of want to sleep. Like you don't have, I'm a very driven person, and I know, like, to a bad point where I realized this 2 days ago, 2 days ago, actually. I was thinking, a lot of people live their life as if they're working towards something, and then the goal moves and you're never achieving that goal. You're always working towards something. And that's partly from how I was raised, was like, have a goal and aim at it, because who knows what you can accomplish, which I do believe. But I've also gotten into the routine of forgetting that this is actually my life.
Yeah. Like,
everything I do each day is my life. There's not this thing I'm reaching for that's going to be my life. Like, this is my life. I'm like, I need to spend more time being like in gratitude, being happy, and being like, this is amazing right now. It's not the next thing that I'm aiming for that's going to change something. Like, this is life. So that was a good thing to say, because I think people forget that, especially if they're driven.
And why some of us are more driven than others is a mystery. We don't know that. By the grace of God go I. But the stuff we have, or the things we do, have little real value in the scheme of the universe, except it gives us value in the accomplishment. But I think the best thing we do is help others in life, give to others in some way, right? And I absolutely know and believe what you're doing is powerful, because so many people are learning from what you do and what you've shared of your pain and difficulties. And I think that's important. We're storytellers. But we got to, it's the fall first, right? The pain and suffering. And then it's coming up to the heroes, the journey. It's that journey for all of us. That's the powerful part, right? So we're here talking and sharing stories, and other people are listening, and we listen to their stories too, which is the most powerful thing in the universe. And I imagine as we evolved over millions of years, we've been doing this
since the beginning. The stories. And the beauty is we can do it. Here I am visiting with you in your studio, but we can do it now in so many amazing ways due to technology. And we learn from each other. But I think it's the doing. So for me, I get up every morning at 3 to 4 a.m. I do my meditation and prayer. I do my 100 push-ups. I will do my live at 5, Monday through Friday. It's my actual daily meditative work to connect with God and the universe and other people. I talk about faith and food and fitness and lots of other things related to all this stuff we're talking about. And I run a large business and I have relationship and family and all these sort of things. But at the end of the day, I take 1 to 3 naps a day.
Oh, interesting.
I go to bed at 8 to 9 o'clock at night. We need to rest more and nap more to reset the synapse. It's napping. It could be 5 to 10 minutes. That's all it takes. And so we've been brainwashed with nappings. You shouldn't nap. You got to keep going. And then you're taking all your power drinks, right? Your energy drinks, right? Like we got to get rid of most of that. You don't need it, but we're addicted to it. We line up in lines to get all this addictive drinks and addictive foods and addictive things to keep us going. Take a nap.
You're pro nap.
Yeah.
I think I was so chronically fatigued when I was sick. I was sleeping 18 hours a day. I was on Adderall to just try and be awake, that I was like, as soon as I got healthy, it was like, I have energy. This is what energy feels like. I'm awake. I was like, oh, I never want to nap again. I had like an aversion to sleep after, I don't know how many years, maybe 10 years of chronic fatigue. It was like, and so I know part of it's psychological because people are like, yeah, I take a nap in the afternoon. It's amazing. And it's like, I hate naps. And I think part of it's psychological from the aversion to napping because of chronic fatigue.
Napping is critical. Lions, most carnivores, sleep a lot. We insist our children, when they're very young, nap. You know how they get cranky and they take a nap and they feel better. I have a couch in every office that I have. And I'll shut the door and people know, oh, he's taking his 10-minute nap. It might be 1 time a day. It might be 3 times a day. I might drive to work and the first thing I do is lay down and I take a 5 to 10 minute. But I'm going through a prayer ritual. It's usually, thank you, God, Creator, for everything in my life. I go through all the people in my life with gratitude. I'll even go through the hardships, the challenges, and even the judgment negatively with love and kindness and generosity. Because the mindset is the critical part to this story. If you're working to accomplish something, you want to listen and learn from others that have done it. You want to read about it. You want to immerse yourself in it. We're apprenticing life. This is an apprenticeship, right? This idea that we show up and we know everything.
Yeah.
I'm a failure. I fail all the time. But that's where you want to lead yourself to. I learned to fly airplanes at 55, jets at 62.
Cool.
It's kind of amazing. Every year in Scottsdale, I go for my single pilot recurrence training in a simulator. They try to kill me. It's kind of hard in a simulator. I always bring a co-pilot when I fly at 41,000 feet. But life is full of co-piloting. You can Google anything today. You can listen and watch someone doing something to learn something. That's the beauty of the universe today. Mm-hmm. Right? And the beauty of I got psoriasis. What can I learn to do? Or I've got migraines, or I'm depressed. I learned, Mrs. Wong in high school taught me to throw on the potter's wheel and make jewelry. I sell cups online, Kiltz cups. They're made out of clay. I call them, they're made out of stardust. But I make cups that are all unique and different. But we are all unique and different. And then I learned to paint about 15, 20 years ago, I went to the Modern Art Museum in Paris with my daughter, and like $1 million painting on a dot of white on a black canvas. I said, I could do that. And so the trick of life is that you can do anything because you're a human being. You are a goddess and a god because it's built in our DNA, all of us. But the programs that we've been living are what we're not. And I always say, you just turn it around. And that's the most powerful thing we can all do every single day. Listen and learn from others who have succeeded at what we wish to succeed at.
Yeah. When I first decided, when I'm thinking back about what happened to me, the first thing I did was decide to get healthy.
Yeah.
Right. And I wasn't very old, and I'd been told my entire life that I was going to have like these diseases, especially the rheumatoid arthritis, forever.
Yeah.
There was no cure. There was some promising new medication, and like I'd been on it, was like, this ain't it. But I remember at one point I was like, if I keep going down this route, I'm going to die. That's what's going to happen to me. Like if I keep taking this medication and I keep disintegrating, because my joints were disintegrating, I'm going to die. So rather than that, I'm going to do whatever I can to be healthy. And I think I just got to the point where I was old enough, and I think younger people can do this too. But for me, I was on a lot of medication. I was very brain foggy. I was 23 at the time, and I was like, I'm going to either get healthy or I'm going to die trying to get healthy. And after chronic illness for my entire life, it took 8 months after that. I was in biomedical science trying to like research my way out of it. It took 8 months after that to restrict down my diet and restrict enough things that my symptoms started to go away. And I was like, as soon as I decided I'm going to do whatever it takes to get healthy, 8 months later, I put myself in remission. I was like, that's not very long. Like mindset's huge.
And you don't have a disease, and you're not in remission. Think about poison ivy. Do you have poison ivy disease?
Definitely not.
You've been exposed to a toxin that causes every disease we suffer from. That's all it is. It's simple. Remove the toxins.
Yeah. No, I do believe that, yeah.
But we live our diseases, right? I'm in remission, right? I will have this disease forever, which I don't believe.
Mm-hmm. Neither do I.
We're brainwashed. And then we're all giving money to more of the science of finding a cure for a disease, which is simply secondary to plant poisoning and low-fat diet. That's it. But we learn. That's the beauty of humanity. We're able to learn and change. Mm-hmm. And the real drive, you had the drive. I mean, I kind of tripped over it. I didn't, I was taking all the drugs and seeing the doctors for all the problems I suffer from, including arthritis, psoriasis, migraines, etc., depression, anxiety, ADHD, OCD. Wow, we have a lot of labels of problems.
I know. So we do. I had a lot of labels too.
And the books that we have to look up all the codes to give you a diagnosis to make sure that you get the right care and I get paid right is like ridiculous.
Yeah. I was mad when I found out that rheumatoid, when I was a kid, I used to go to the hospital for sick children in Toronto, and the rheumatoid arthritis ward was right next to the lupus ward, but they were separate wards. It was like treated as a completely different thing. And then when I got healthy and was like, those even manifest almost identically, but even the research into it is separated because they have different names. I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy. These are all caused by the same thing?
Same thing. My sister Marianne died at 52. She was diagnosed with diabetes type 1 at age 4. And I never understood the disease truly. My best friend from medical school, Dave, died at 52, the same year. He is a healthy guy, amazingly healthy. Gets diagnosed with leukemia, and 3 months later, he's dead. And so the question was why? And this is all the same time I'm beginning to dig deep into understanding the why part of it. Cancers are caused by antigens, and the number one antigen is a sugar from a plant. The glycocalyx is the sugar layer that is actually the barcode of our body. And so the fatty membrane of the cell has embedded proteins in them. And then there are sugars that are the antenna or the transmitter that is the cause of all our disease. So you have a specific human leukocyte antigen marker made up of some sugars. All organisms have unique sugars that are part of their body. So every muscle cell, every cell of every tissue of our body and every animal we eat or microbe contains fats, proteins, and sugars. Mm-hmm. The sugars are antigenic, not the proteins. Your blood type is determined by a sugar, not a protein. And so when we understand the glycocalyx and the glycobiome, we'll understand how diseases really happen. And bacteria, yeast, and viruses all have their own sugar layer. A sperm and egg has its own sugar layer. So the sperm must attach to the egg's sugar layer in order to fertilize it. If that sugar layer is damaged, guess what? It won't fertilize. If the embryo's sugar layer is damaged or the uterine lining sugar layer is damaged, it can't implant. So if I'm putting foreign sugars into you, and I'm putting a lot of sugar into you, it's going to damage your body. It's going to damage your glycobiome, your glycocalyx. Blood vessels, lymphatics, peritoneal surfaces, every cell of your body has a sugar layer. If I damage it, I erode the cells. And so very few people know about the glycocalyx and the glycobiome. Mm-hmm. Everyone's talking about how important the microbiome is. It's a killer. The microbes are there. That doesn't mean they're good for you. Would you put bacteria, yeast, or a virus, would you inject it into your bloodstream? Of course not.
So what do you think about these studies on like certain say Saccharomyces? You know, they say when you take antibiotics, take Saccharomyces, which is like, it's a yeast, right? Probiotic. What do you think about that kind of thing? Do you think they're all bad across the board, or is it like the majority of what what we're growing on a standard American diet just isn't good for us? We don't need that type of variety.
Well, we're feeding the microbes.
Yeah.
And then we're blaming the microbes for the disease when it's the plants. So our studies, we've been focusing on, those microbes are really important for you. Mm-hmm. Well, you're right. When you're sick, don't they tend to be really abnormal in the amounts or the different species? But that doesn't mean they're the cause of it. The plant sugars are the cause, because I'm feeding the microbes with things they like in an aerobic environment, or right? No oxygen. And so those microbes make all the alcohol, aldehydes, methane, and more heat. Is heat in your colon good for you? If I heat up your colon, what's that going to do to your reproductive system? It's going to damage it. So is probiotic world a $1 billion business?
Yeah.
So am I going to support the science on that one? I am. But it's wrong. I believe. Again, you know that the majority of the scientists in medicine recommend a plant-based diet.
Yeah.
But you know what it did to you, and I know what it did to me, and I believe that a plant-based low-fat diet causes cancer. And I mention low-fat because if you're eating a lot of lean meat, you're also fermenting in your gut. And a protein poisoning is real. Plant poisoning is real. You will kill a cow if you feed it fat. Did you know that?
No.
Do you know why? Because the microbes in the rumen are killed on a fat diet. And a cow cannot
Interesting.
live without the microbes. It requires that. We do not. Can you eat plants and live a long time? Sure you can. But unfortunately, sudden death from cancers or stroke or heart disease is very common. I was just talking to one of my patients. His wife just died in bed. They don't know why she died. In her 30s. Unknown cause. Wow, I wonder if it could be the plants which are fermenting and providing the toxins that they make in order to control and kill you. Which seems kind of radical and crazy, right? But is our world, do we care more for the people who make a lot of money or for the peasants in the world? Money has become the mission of our world. And money should never be the thing you go for. Helping people, that's what we're here to do. But I think we're sort of distracted. I love pizza, pasta, and bread. So good.
Yeah.
Small amounts from time to time is not your killer unless you have an anaphylactic reaction. Mm-hmm. And we don't know who or why. My partner was on Highway 90 a few years ago after having a dinner with some crab, which she'd had before. She gets an anaphylactic reaction on the road, pulls over, calls 911. She survived, thankfully. But why we are allergic to some things and not others, I don't know. Which one when, I don't know. But ribeye steak,
Yeah.
never heard of it.
Yep. Cool. Okay. Where can people find you online? Where can they go to see your morning live?
drkiltz.com is a good place to surf. And I'm on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I think I'm on TikTok, but I don't know. And thankfully, I have some people that help me do this. But I get on my lives myself, usually 5 a.m., Monday through Friday, Eastern time. And I take questions, comments. I read some quotes from other beautiful people who've written great stuff. And I talk about keto, carnivore. And I put the keto in there, by the way, because it gets you in the waiting room of life. And that's real important. It's the on-ramp. I go to meetups around the country, around the world. I'll be in London on Saturday. I'm looking forward to going to Australia next year. But just look up drkiltz.com, and you can even text me. People find my cell phone number online, and I share this all day long because we're here to share the word in the way and helping people heal.
That's so nice. Well, thank you very much for joining me. That was
Mikhaila.
interesting. And thank you for all you do. I agree. I think I've had so many friends, especially my age, grow up and be like, yeah, we'll put off kids, have a career. You can do it later. And then because of the health crisis, it's like, can you do it later? That's risky, and just devalues how much happiness, even though I really don't enjoy being pregnant, and who knows what kind of issues that's because of, but there's nothing that's more actual soul fulfilling,
The most important thing is building your families. And whether you're reproducing yourself or you're helping others in their reproduction, that's the most important thing. But I think that we're brainwashed in our modern world. It's too difficult, it's too hard,
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that. And we need to be more inspiring. And we're a village. This is really a village of helping people. This is meant to invite people in to these podcasts and ask questions and question our thinking and what are we thinking and why this or that. But, I appreciate you and what you're sharing. It is important to share our stories because we're
Thank
just
you.
another story.
Yeah. I guess I'll close with this. I think one of the reasons too, we've been brainwashed right into thinking that a career and making money and accomplishing things, whatever that is more important than having a family, which you can do whenever later. I think part of the reason it's gotten so difficult now is because people don't have these communities around them to raise kids anymore. So like my best friend had kids. She's in downtown Toronto. None of her friends had any. I had moved away. So it's like she's at home by herself and she loves her kids and like wouldn't change anything, but it's isolating for people. Like I spent time in Serbia, and it was so surprising to me to go outside to a cafe and there were all these people in their like late 20s, early 30s that had 2 or 3 kids running around, and they were sitting at a table all together. Like one person would be breastfeeding and they were just hanging out with each other and their kids were hanging out together. And I was like, you just don't see that, you know? You're kind of, depending on where you live, you're kind of scoffed at if you go to a restaurant with a little kid. They're like, oh, is this little kid going to be a problem? And you go to other places in the world and they have like little daycares in the restaurant. So you can go and have a meal. Your kid can hang out with other kids. Like it's built into the culture. And in North America, it's like, I think we're on the right path. I think we're going back to how it should be, but it segregated people for a long time who had children. It was very sad.
We're building a village. And that's what this is really all about. We're inviting people to come together and get back to our old ancient ways. And working together is critical. And helping others that are suffering is really important in life.
Agreed. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
God bless you. Thank you.